The rain hadn't stopped when Deborah Frost shoved my son right there in front of the whole pickup line. Her pink clipboard slammed against the car hood voice sharp enough to slice the air. Parents froze. The principal stepped out, eyes wide. Inside. Now. 2 minutes later, the intercom crackled through the hall. Effective immediately, Ms. Frost is relieved of her duties. I watched her face drain of color, the same look she gave every homeowner she'd bullied for years. That's when I knew this time the record would be mine. Rain stitched the morning shut until the siren ripped it open. Blue flashed, then a crunch like a jaw breaking. The county cruiser lurched and vanished beneath the crown of my oak. Splinters sprayed the gate like hail. Deborah Frost's pink clipboard slapped the pavement and skidded to my boot. "Don't move," I said, raising my phone. "You're on record, Deborah." She froze, hands on her head. "This is a misunderstanding. Is that what you call cutting a protected tree?" I pointed to the ordnance tag still nailed to the stump. Heritage designated. Section 82213. Sheriff Brad Hanlon jogged up Rain on his brim. "Everybody calm down." "I'm calm," I said. "Your car isn't." He stared at the crushed roofline. "What happened?" "She ordered removal," I said. "No county clearance." "Emergency action," Deborah said. "Uniform sightline. Hazard mitigation." "Say that slower for the camera." "Ethan, stop filming." "Can't." "Gravity's rolling." I angled the phone. The bark steamed where the crown split. The stump still wore my ribboned notice from last month. Brad lifted his radio, then paused. "Anyone hurt? Just credibility." "Step back," he said. "Let me assess." "Assess the tag first," I said. I tilted the screen so the caption burned on screen. Received 0842. Key AM 0315. "You staged that," Deborah said. "You staged chainsaws." "The camera doesn't blink," I said. Rain hissed. My diner mug warmed my palm. Coffee fog curled into the drizzle. At the post office drop box across the street, a red flag stuck up like a small alarm. Ma'am Brad asked, "Did you instruct the crew?" "I asked for community safety," she said. "That tree broke our elevation line. Buyer's notice." "Buyer's notice crushed cruisers too," Ethan Brad warned. "Put it in writing," I said. "On your clipboard, Deborah." She hovered over the pink plastic. "I don't answer to you." "You do to the county," I said, "and to that camera." A porch door squeaked. Curtains shifted. "Oh, my lord," someone whispered. "Is that the sheriff's car?" another voice said. The neighborhood held its breath. Brad, crouched, winced. "This is totaled." "Get a tarp," someone said. "Don't touch that," Brad said. Nature filed the report. He stood. "You like pushing people's buttons." "Buttons push back when they're wired wrong," I said. "I like documented truth." I tapped the stump's clean cross-section. "Healthy rings. No rot." "You can't know that at a glance," she said. "Landscape architect," I said. "Also, common sense." She laughed thin. "Common sense says it leaned toward my yard." "Risk. Risk is cutting roots before a storm." Brad cleared his throat. "Next steps. I'll need statements." "You'll get mine in a packet," I said, "and a copy to your insurance. Want the footage now or later?" "Later," he said. "Then mark the time," I said, "and mark who gave orders." "I didn't give orders," Deborah said. "I requested action." On HOA letterhead. I said, "Comic Sans doesn't make it legal." "You're mocking me," she said. "I'm reading what you posted." I thumbed up her HOA thread titled Unsightly Overgrowth. 30 comments in an hour. You moderated every one. Public relations. Public defamation. Brad pinched the bridge of his nose. "Enough. I need a perimeter and a tow." A tow, I glanced at the trunk. "From under a log. We'll bring a crew," he said. "Bring the county arborist too," I said. "You're escalating," Deborah said. "I'm documenting. Escalation is gravity plus hubris." "You talk like a courtroom," she said. "Because you turned a block party into one." The crown settled with a wet sigh against the cruiser's hood. Blue strobed across Deborah's face. She flinched, then stiffened. Write him up for harassment, she told Brad. He looked at the camera's red dot. No. Good choice, I said. Email the video, Brad said. Queued. I showed the upload bar. There's an earlier clip of Deborah with the contractors, time-stamped, audio clear. Email it now, Brad said. Sending, I said. You can't record me without consent, she said. In my yard, I can, I said. And at this gate. She clutched the clipboard like a shield. The plastic squealed. She stared over my shoulder toward the slope where the soil wore a darker sheen than usual. Deborah, I said softer. You pulled the roots. It was beautification. Control isn't stability. It snaps. You always were dramatic, and you always were certain. Brad's radio crackled. He stepped away, boots grinding grit. Water ran under the cruiser and glugged into the drain. Somewhere a screen door slammed punctuation you couldn't stage. Let's be reasonable, Deborah said, quieter. We can settle this without spectacle. Then say it on mic, I said. Say you ordered it. I followed our bylaws. Bylaws don't outrank gravity. Paper remembers, I said. A neighbor drifted closer under a golfer's umbrella. Is the road closed? Back, please, Brad said into the drizzle. Deborah straightened. I'll convene an emergency session. You already did, I said, nodding at the cruiser. These are the minutes. She scoffed, but it frayed. The smell of wet bark and coolant braided with rain. Brad returned. Wreckers en route. Environmental officer, too. Good, I said. He'll love the tag. That tag could be old, Deborah said. It's last month, I said. Your initials are on the receipt. You went through my public records, I said. Not your house. The siren coughed once and died. The neighborhood exhaled with it. Did it really crush the whole roof? The neighbor asked. Front half's a pancake, I said. Statements at noon, Brad asked. I'll be there, I said. Bring the packet. Tabs highlights page numbers, I said. I'm a generous man. You enjoy this, Deborah said. No, I enjoy accuracy. She looked at the hill. A gutter spat a thin waterfall. The stump bled pale sap the rain chased into lace. Then put it in writing, I said. The line belonged to the morning now. She didn't answer. The camera's red dot blinked like a metronome for consequences. Blue lights flicker under county code, I said. The records office smells like wet paper and toner. Fluorescents buzz like bees trapped in jars. I slide my parcel folder to the clerk phone recording on the counter. Parcel ID, he asks. OVH 14B. Heritage designation confirmed. 93 re-inspected last spring. He nods. The printer exhales a sheet, odd 8 to 203. He highlights stamps and says, protected means protected. Say that again. Protected means protected. The seal leaves a raised ring I can feel with my thumb. Behind him, a bulletin board holds a faded BBQ flyer bluegrass at 5 pinned under a lost dog notice. 1 thumbtack, 2 truths. My phone vibrates. Deborah's HOA thread floods the screen. Unsightly overgrowth. Threat to curb appeal. Dramas trending, I mutter. The clerk glances up. We archive posts in complaints now. Add this. I show the comment, cut it yesterday. Who's going to stop us? He copies the link into the notes field. Plat overlay, I ask. He unrolls a translucent map, streets like veins the oak, a dark coin. Legacy canopy line, he says, recorded before the HOA. Your tree predates their covenants. Hold that. Click. Snapshot. Silence hums between frames. Text from Deborah, you love drama. I reply, I love receipts. Copies for counsel, I ask. He slides 2 jackets. Certified mail slips. I want a trail you can see from space. The printer grinds, then stops red light. Paper jam. We both stare. He opens the panel, lifts the page like a splinter. Humidity. He resets it. Green light returns. Mini cliff, I say. What? Never mind. He stamps again, received the seal, throwing a shadow like a hill at noon. My hand trembles once, steadying the phone. A deputy enters, rain still on his jacket. Not Brad, younger. Heritage case. The clerk nods. You the homeowner? The deputy asks. I am. Sheriff wants copies. Take set 2. He studies the stamp. That ring, judges feel paper. BBQ flyer curls, a rubber band snaps in back. I think of that cruiser crushed under the oak. The siren coughs in memory. The clerk caps his pen. Anything else, Mr. Cole? Yes. I slide a screenshot, Deborah pointing at the trunk. Time code 0315. Include this, clear as glass, he says. And this. I add the boundary pin photo mud ringed. Survey stayed true. She didn't. The deputy tilts his head, listening to the level bubble go center. Explain colors, I say. Blue equals parcel, green equals legacy canopy, red equals heritage, and gray, HOA, boundary advisory not controlling. Say that again. Advisory, not controlling. Print 2. The machine obeys. The deputy pockets one for Brad. Phone buzz. Take it down. You're embarrassing yourself. I type. You cut. I file. Pause. You'll regret this. I forward the overlay to counsel. File that sentiment too, I say. The clerk hands certified slips. I sign, press hard. He applies barcodes, ceremonial thunk. Anything else? One more seal. Thunk. The paper gains weight. He stacks the outbox. Digital mirror, by 5. Perfect. The deputy nods. Brad'll appreciate clarity. Tell him the ordinance says what it says. Ordinance always does. He replies, leaving a wet arrow print. I pause at the corkboard rain or shine scrawled across the flyer. Roots drink slow, I think. Collapse is just ripened neglect. My reflection in the glass jacket damp packet clutched. Every man who believes paper beats posture. A neighbor DM pops up. She says, you forged the tag. Posting the receipt next, I reply. I attach the seal photo and line the subject, R82213, filed. Outside, the sky glows copier lamp white. The mail truck idles. Carrier, knee, brace cap, calls big envelope, today. 3. Make sure they get scanned. They will. I show the stamped faces. Threads blow away, he says. Paper outlives noise. I glance toward the HOA gate drying in weak sun. Down the block, a kid hammers a garage sale sign 2 extra hits for certainty. I tighten my grip on the packet until the edge bites. It keeps me steady here, lawful awake. Phone vibrates again. Deborah. Your tree was diseased. I type one sentence. 12 words a line to hang a day on bylaws don't outrank gravity. The projector hums like a calm engine idle. Dust swims in the cone of light. On the screen, my parcel map hangs beside a freeze frame of Deborah pointing at the trunk 0315 stamped in the corner. Mark leans an elbows on the county archive table. You've got leverage, he says. I've got a mess, I answer. A documented mess. He flips to a fresh checklist. Plat overlay. Heritage tag. Social thread. Video. Sheriff incident. Start a case jacket. He pulls a red folder, writes in block letters, and underlines twice. Case number 0317. His pen pauses over the date stamp. Ready, do it. Thunk. The stamp lands, received 1321. He lifts the page slowly so the ink doesn't ghost. The room settles into a clean quiet. Rain ticks across the metal roof. Somewhere in the stacks, a dehumidifier clicks on and breathes. Mark sets the stamped page on top. Sequence matters, he says. Courts love a clean timeline. I love a short one. Short is for legends. We're building a ledger. He nods at the projector. Talk me through the hill again. Old oak anchored the slope, I say. Cutting it loosened the line. Water made soup. Gravity did what gravity does. Deborah's defense uniform sightline. Hazard mitigation. Shopper optics. Mark snorts. Optics collapse first. He marks a line. Causation chain removal. Hydrology shift. Failure. Vehicle damage. I rub my thumb along the folder edge. We file a TTRO next. Temporary tree removal order, he says. Funny name. But, yes. It tells a judge what should have happened and asks for protection so it never happens again. My phone lights. Jim's name pulses. I pick up and switch to speaker. "Talk to me," Jim says. His voice carries that courthouse hallway echo. "Case jacket started," I say. "We've got Platt Ordnance Overlay Social Video Sheriff damage. Mark's staging exhibits." "Good," Jim says. Paper moves slow, but it moves. "Send me the TTRO draft by 4. We'll file before close." Mark opens a fresh template on the desktop. Caption, parties parcel code, citations. "Keep the verbs plain," Jim adds. "Judges punish adjectives." "Noted," Mark says. I point at the screen where the cursor blinks under findings. "Add the boundary pin," I say. "I dug it out this morning. Bronze cap original survey mud ring still visible." Mark glances up. Photo, I hand him the shot. The pin sits like a small lighthouse silt dried to a halo. He smiles. "Great." Pins don't argue. He drops the image into Exhibit C and labels it Boundary Pin Corner Confirmation. Jim clears his throat. "Any pushback from Brad Deputy took copies," I say. Brad seemed bruised. "Not helpful, not hostile." "Fine," Jim says. "We'll let his report hang itself." Mark toggles to the incident form on the projector. Sheriff's Unit Damage Report Preliminary. He circles a field with the laser pointer. Cause structural failure related to vegetation removal. Leave that exact phrase in Jim says. Don't gild it. Done, Mark says. Rain deepens for a moment, then thins. The projector fan lowers a note. We pause in that drop, the silent beat that feels like a camera holds for breath. Mark breaks it first. Chain of custody for your video's local copy. I say cloud mirror and a write once thumb drive in the envelope. Sign the media log. He slides a sheet across. I sign date and print my initials in the margin. The ink bites a little into the cheap paper. Now the ask, Jim says. TTRO provisions. Mark types, enjoin unauthorized removals within subdivision pending county review, require notice posting, require arborist certification, mandate stabilization plan for disturbed slopes, record order with HOA. Add hearing date, Jim says, but propose ex parte temporary relief to secure records. On it, Mark says. My phone buzzes with a photo from a neighbor, the crushed cruiser under a blue tarp, caution tape sagging like tired ribbon. Deborah's porch stands in the background lights on at noon. Jim hears my pause. You good? Fine, I say. Just adding battery. Don't spend emotion, he says. Spend ink. Mark scrolls to the signature blocks. Affiant me, I say. He types my name and title. Ethan Cole, Landscape Architect. The screen looks too formal for my boots. I like it anyway. Put your camera stills behind the affidavit, Jim says. Exhibit A and B. Keep them near the testimony paragraph so no one hunts. Copy, Mark says. He clicks to the printer dialog. 1 county, 1 court, 1 council, 1 clerk set. Make it 2 council, Jim says. I want a clean working set and a dirty set I can mark. Printing, Mark says. The big machine spools up like a small plane. Warm pages spill into the tray. I catch one and feel the weight of the seal block through the stack. Mark hands me a page for review. Read the findings out loud, he says. Findings, I read. 1. The subject tree is recorded as a heritage specimen under R8 to 2-3. 2. The tree predates the HOA's formation and sits within a legacy canopy boundary per recorded plat overlay. 3. On date. HOA, President Deborah Frost directed contractors to remove said tree without county authorization. 4. Subsequent slope failure caused property and vehicle damage. Stop, Jim says. Change directed to instructed. Cleaner. Instructed, I say, writing it with a pen so the language sticks to my mouth. Mark updates the draft. Done. Remedies, Jim says. Keep them narrow. Judges trust narrow. Mark types temporary injunctive relief to prevent further removals. Posting requirement. Notice to all HOA members. Preservation of social media posts related to the event. Chain that to due process, Jim adds. No theatrics. Mark nods. No theatrics. He looks at me. Hard for you. I can be boring if Justice likes boring. Justice adores boring, Jim says. Boring wins. The printer hiccups and spits a curled sheet. Mark flattens it with his palm, then squares the stack and turns it so the caption faces me. Sign the affidavit. I sign where the arrow sticker points. He swivels the notary book and checks his stamp. Ready. Do it, I say. Thunk. The seal embosses. He lifts the page to the light. Letters stand up like a ridgeline after rain. Mark gathers the exhibits, clips the media log, and slides everything into the red folder. He taps the tab, satisfied. You feel that? The weight, I say. The spine, he says. A case grows vertebrae. Jim exhales through the phone. Email me the PDF and send the handset by runner. I'll file and text you a case number. Got it, Mark says. I drive us to my garage desk for the last pass. The rain over the metal roof turns from thread to mist. The smell of cut pine and oil hangs in the air. Above the bench, my torque chart waits like scripture. Mark lays the TTRO draft beside a box of sockets. Last inspection. I pick up a half-inch wrench and tighten a loose vice bolt. The metal sings, then settles. Measure twice, I say. Confront once, Mark answers. He thumbs the projector remote. The cone of light fades to gray. We stand in the quiet, listening to the roof ping as it cools. Say it again, Jim says, voice softer now, almost a nod carried over a wire. I look at the draft at the stamped corner at the red spine that doesn't bend easy and let the day land where it belongs. Measure twice. Confront once. Rain hammers the roof like it wants in. My home office glows pale from the monitor's light. One frozen frame. Deborah in mid-command. Finger stabbing the air contractors behind her, 0315 stamped at the corner. Mark's voice crackles on speaker. Upload exhibits in order. Overlay incident stills. Then affidavit, I say. Judges want the voice before the noise, he reminds me. The progress bar crawls. Outside, water pools at the curb. A cruiser's blue flash ripples through the puddle like a pulse. Affidavit attached, I say. Now the TTRO. I drag the file into the portal. The cursor spins, then filed 1609. It lands like a verdict. The landline rings. Only official calls use that number. Cole. I answer. Brad. You really want to make enemies. I want order. You could have brought this to me. I did. You said later. He sighs. Filing makes it public. She did that first with a crew and a camera. Lightning flickers. The screen steadies. Deborah's face is sharp enough to cut a nerve. Paper doesn't fix things, Brad says. It holds them long enough to fix, I reply. You know how fast neighbors turn. They turned when your hood caved in. A beat of static. Rain fills the silence. You and I live on the same streets, he says. Exactly why we follow the same rules. He exhales. Deborah's not built for shame. Shame's not the point. Standards are. A click ends the call. I slide the red folder into the outbox tray. Cold steel. Even a file needs weight to matter. On the shelf, the deed copy waits under a brass plumb bob, prop number 2. I lift it, thumbs the raised seal, and remember the clerk's words. Protected means protected. A ping. Text from Mark Court Mirror sent. The email lands TQRO, filed 1609. I save it twice. Outside, thunder backs off. The puddle holds a perfect cruiser reflection blue light steady now. Knock at the door. I open to rain smell and Brad's wet jacket. His unit idles at the curb. Thought we'd talk without wires, he says. You're on record if you're on my floor. He glances at the phone, nods. Fair. He eyes the freeze frame. That timestamp will ruin her. It won't, Her actions will. You're cornering her. I'm cornering the facts. He sighs. County hates being used as a stage. Then they should love being used as a scale. The rain eases. He points to the deed copy. You keep everything. He nods at the outbox. That the handset. 1 court, 1 counsel. Smells like toner. Smells like accountability. He studies me. You'll play that clip if asked. You always were patient. Measure twice, I say. He half smiles. Confront once. Once is enough. We stand in the hum of the projector storm thinning around us. The puddle blinks again, blue, still. He shifts his stance. You'll hear from the clerk tomorrow. Good. Ethan, don't let this eat your week. I'm letting it mark it, I say. He leaves. The door closes with a tight hiss. The filing portal pings again, confirmation mirror. I pick up the folder and let it fall into the tray. Thud. A paper sound with consequence. Mark calls back. All received? Logged here, I say. Truth's on paper now, he says. It always was. I glance at the frozen frame again. Deborah, mid-order contractors in motion timestamp burning steady. I draft one final email to the HOA council attached, filed TTRO Saturday 8/22/3/03/15. Still. Subject line, preservation notice. One closing sentence before sending, truth keeps receipts. The mic pops, once sharp metallic. Feedback crawls across the community hall before settling into a low hum. The projector throws a white square onto the front wall. In its glare, the agenda glows, Special HOA Session Tree Removal Incident. Deborah stands near the folding table clipboard hugged to her chest like a shield. Her nails tap a rhythm the room can hear. Beside the podium, a sealed envelope marked Service sits next to a ring of brass keys, the kind the maintenance crew uses for gates and sheds. The clerk tests the mic again. Can everyone hear? A dozen neighbors nod. The coffee urn gurgles behind them, filling the air with the scent of burnt roast. I take the seat closest to the projector folder on my knee. Counsel Jim leans toward me, whispering, "Stay calm. You already won by showing up." Deborah clears her throat. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone this is a civil discussion. Civil starts with truth, I say. A few heads turn. The reporter in the corner flips her recorder on. Red light steady. The clerk gestures toward the agenda. Item 1, unauthorized removal of a protected heritage tree. Deborah's smile stretches thin. We acted under visual assessment of hazard. Jim slides a single page to her. Read the ordinance line. She glances down. 48-2-213. Heritage specimens require county authorization prior to alteration. Her voice flattens. And you had no authorization, I say. We had safety concerns. You had convenience. A murmur moves through the folding chairs like wind through corn. The board president coughs once maybe a signal. The projector hums louder. Jim taps the mic gently. The county has verified filing of a temporary tree removal order timestamp 1609. He lays the stamped sheet on the table. The raised seal catches the light like a small moon. Fields 1609. The clerk reads aloud. Received and acknowledged. Deborah stiffens. We didn't get that notice. It was delivered, I say, and ignored. Watch your tone, Mr. Cole. Watch your covenants. The reporter's pen stops mid-stroke waiting. The board treasurer. A man with barbecue sauce stains on his cuff leans forward. Let's just resolve this. What's the remedy? Jim answers steady. Correction of the record. Formal acknowledgement that removal was unauthorized. Refund of special assessment used for the cut. Replacement planting per county order. Deborah mutters, ridiculous. The clerk adjusts her glasses. There's also restitution for damage to the sheriff's unit under insurance review. Deborah's jaw tightens. We'll dispute that. On what grounds, I ask? She doesn't answer. The silence stretches a silent beat the whole room feels. Jim slides another document forward. County correspondence. Page 2, confirmation. Signed, sealed, and logged. Doc, Q, minutes received 19:04. The projector throws the scanned minutes onto the wall, each line steady as courtroom type. The board secretary squints. Says here, removal performed without permit direction traced to HOA President Deborah Frost. Gasps ripple. Deborah looks at me like she wants to unwrite the air. Brad stands near the back wall, arms crossed, watching the tide shift. Motion to correct the minutes, Jim asks. Second, someone says immediately. The clerk nods. Motion on floor. 3 seconds pass, no one breathes. Silent beat. All in favor, hands rise. The vote passes clear and irreversible. The clerk flips the switch on the mic. Correction recorded. Unauthorized removal acknowledged. She stamps the bottom of the page with practiced weight. Thud. The seal blooms red under the projector glare. Deborah exhales through her nose, color draining from her knuckles as she loosens the clipboard. It hits the table with a soft plastic knock. Brad steps forward, retrieves the brass keys, and lays them on top of the sealed envelope. County transfer tomorrow morning, he says quietly. Jim whispers, that's your cue. I stand. For the record, I say, steady as a metronome, the oak was ours before the bylaws were theirs. Paper outlives noise. The clerk looks up. Would you like that entered as a statement? Yes, I say. The mic crackles once more like punctuation. Deborah stares at the floor. The reporter's pen races. Coffee drips again into the urn. Jim gathers the copies neat and slow. Truth keeps receipts, he says. I nod, watching the projection fade as the clerk powers down the machine. The last image to vanish is the seal itself, embossed proof that at least once tonight order held. Outside, wind shifts the flag on the pole by the door. Brass keys jingle faintly as Brad locks the hall. For the first time in months, the gate won't click behind me, it'll open. On the record, I murmur finally, thunk. The stamp lands hard enough to vibrate the counter. The process server straightens rain dripping from his jacket. By order of the court, he says. The HOA manager blinks behind the glass window of the office. You can't just. He slides the envelope through the slot. Injunction. 1207, filed this morning. The raised seal catches the light like a brand new coin. I stand behind him, steady. Please post a copy on the notice board. The manager hesitates, then presses the page against the glass. The tape squeals. Notice of injunction. Faces the parking lot, bold, black on white. Outside, puddles mirror the words backwards, still readable. Down the hallway, a tech kneels beside a toolbox, cylinders gleaming in a neat row. Foreshadow brass cores waiting their turn. Jim's voice hums from my phone on speaker. Clerk confirmed delivery at 9:13. You're covered. Copy, I say. The deputy assigned to witness, same one from before, checks his watch. You want to start with the main entrance first, then records room, I say. The server unseals the second envelope. 2 copies. 1 for posting, 1 for custody. He reads aloud, voice even. Effective immediately, the HOA shall cease all alterations of protected property and transfer record-keeping access to the county pending review. The words echo faintly in the hall. The manager exhales through his nose. Is this really necessary? Jim's voice answers from the phone. Only when rules weren't. The tech removes the first lock core. A small metallic sigh escapes as the cylinder slides free. Silent beat. He fits the new brass core in and twists once. Click. The sound fills the room like punctuation. The deputy marks the chain of custody form. Core 1 replaced 942. The server initials beside him. I sign last. The pen scratches through damp paper. The manager crosses his arms. What about our files? Secured, I say. You'll get supervised access after inventory. He stares at the posted notice. You made this bigger than it needed to be. No, I say. It was already big. I just gave it a record number. He looks past me at the tech. You done? One more. the tech says. He moves to the record hallway drills, unscrewing the old plate. The smell of metal and oil mixes with faint citrus from cleaning wipes routine mixed with reckoning. The deputy flips to the next page on his clipboard. Lock 2, records room. When the tech twists the last screw, the old cylinder rolls into his palm like a pulled tooth. He drops it into a plastic bag marked Removed Hardware Evidence Retain. I initial the label. The deputy caps the bag. Chain closed. From the phone, Jim says, "Scan every signature before you leave." Already scanning, the process server says. His device chirps. The files upload. The clerk's acknowledgement pings a minute later. Service confirmed 10:11. Outside, thunder growls and fades. The hall smells faintly of ozone and printer toner. The manager steps aside as the deputy approaches the final door, the boardroom where the HOA held every meeting that ended in noise. He pushes it open. Inside, fluorescent lights buzz half burned out. On the wall, last night's agenda still hangs crooked special session tree removal incident. The projector cart sits dark. A single coffee cup tilts in its saucer cold ring around the rim. The air feels like it remembers embarrassment. The deputy gestures toward the board table. "Need your sign here confirming notice visible." The manager scrawls a name. Too fast, ink streaking. There. Satisfied. Process complete. When I say, the deputy replies calm as gravel. He folds the top copy stamps the footer received 10-19 and hands it to me. Jim speaks again. "Read the operative line for the camera." I hold the page up so the seal catches the phone's lens. "The association shall suspend authority over protected parcels until county reinstatement order is filed." "That'll do," Jim says. "Keep that copy dry. It's history now." The process server adds, "And enforceable." The tech wipes his hands. "That's all locks changed." He lays the ring of old cores on the counter, small brass bones lined in a row. The last one still holds the faint warmth of his drill. The deputy nods once. Service complete. We stand still for a moment, 3 men, a clerk on the line, the smell of metal and paper between us. No applause, no argument. Just quiet order. I gather the forms into my folder, aligning corners until they square perfect. The manager watches, arms lowered, now more tired than angry. "What happens next?" he asks. "Review," I say. "Then repair." He nods, once looks at the notice again. "Guess it's official." "It was always official," I say. "Now it's visible." I walk to the glass door. Outside, the puddles have stopped trembling. The words on the posted page read upright now. The reflection of the seal floats steady across the wet concrete. Injunction Ferdar 12-07, filed a mirror the wind can't distort. I step into the rain. The process server closes the door behind me, the new lock sliding into place with a low, final click. On the passenger seat of my truck, the folder rests under the brass keys, prop number 3 revealed at last. The teeth catch the light as the wipers move. My phone buzzes with a message from Jim, minutes updated. Press has the notice. "Congratulations." I reply with 3 words he's heard before. Paper outlives noise. The projector hums again, steady and warm against the low chatter of the room. On the screen, in black Arial font, audit summary. Received 10/02. Rows of folding chairs line the community hall like an afterthought from last month's showdown. The coffee urn returns new filter, same smell. Patricia, new HOA. President taps the mic. "We'll begin in 2 minutes." Her voice carries no tremor, only duty. I sit halfway back. Beside me, Mark folds his arms, quiet pride under a denim jacket. "Didn't think I'd see the day," he says. Jim leans forward from the next row. "Records balance. People don't." "Then we balance both," I reply. On the table near the podium, a plaque hides beneath a draped cloth. Its brass corner peeks out, glinting beneath the fluorescent hum. Foreshadow, I think. Recognition waits its turn. Patricia lifts a folder. This is the independent audit summary for the fiscal year ending June. All findings verified, refunds approved. Murmurs ripple through the chairs. The raffle jar on the counter rattles slightly, coins against glass. First item, she continues. Unauthorized expenditures related to the heritage tree removal are reversed. Credits issued to all paying members. Someone claps, then another, and the sound swells uneven but real. Patricia reads the next line. The county order stands. Preservation status reinstated. HOA to coordinate replanting under supervision. I exhale slowly. Mark whispers, "Roots win again." Jim checks his watch, then nods toward the clerk. "Let's make it official." The clerk steps forward, microphone in hand. Per vote held and minutes filed refunds totaling $3,200 distributed this session. The projector shifts slides. Minutes filed 10:11. Patricia turns toward the crowd. Checks will be handed personally to each household representative. We'll start from the East Block. The sound of paper envelopes brushing together fills the space like soft applause. She gestures to me. "Mr. Cole, your diligence prompted this audit. Would you help distribute?" I stand, unexpected weight in my chest. Mark pats my shoulder once. "Circle complete," he murmurs. I take the stack of envelopes from the clerk edge's crisp ink, still faintly chemical. Each one bears the HOA seal, prop number 2, reborn on paper. I step toward the first row. "Mrs. Henley," I say, handing the first check. She's small, silver-haired hands shaking slightly. "For your overpayment and your patience." She smiles. "He'd have loved this," she says softly. "He hung a wind chime on that tree every summer." A beat passes silent, beat 3 seconds, the room willingly holds. Then applause again, this time without cue. Jim rises, adjusting his tie. "This," he says into this mic, "is how you fix a record out loud." The line lands like a verdict everyone agrees with. Cameras flash. The reporter from before types furiously at the back. Patricia gestures to the plaque under the cloth. "Before we close, one more thing." She lifts the fabric, revealing a simple plate, "Community Preservation Award, County Heritage Program, 2024. My name sits in small letters beneath. I feel the air shift, not pride, just closure. Mark leans in. "Measure twice," he says. I smile. Confront once. Laughter breaks out soft and clean. Patricia lifts her voice again. "Final item acknowledgement entered to minutes. Mr. Cole's filings led to procedural reform of HOA oversight. Clerk, please record." The clerk types deliberate and slow. The projector flashes the confirmation line. "Acknowledgement filed 10/28. Neighbors move forward to collect their envelopes. Paper rustles, chairs scrape. It's the sound of something mending. I hand the last check to Mrs. Henley. Her eyes glisten under the lights. "Thank you for not letting them bury it," she says. I shake my head. Paper outlives noise. Jim grins, voice low, and refunds speak louder than titles. The line earns a ripple of laughter and phones raised for the quote. Viral fuel, maybe, but for once it doesn't feel like theater. Patricia sets the mic down, breath steady. Meeting adjourned. Mark folds the empty envelopes neat as invoices. "You done?" he asks. For now, I say, "Good. Barbecue at noon." The clerk powers off the projector. The screen fades to black, leaving our reflections faint on the surface, me, Mark, and Jim framed together, older and steadier. Outside, sunlight scatters through the glass door. The new oak sapling waits by the walkway roots, balled in burlap, ready for planting. Wind moves the plaque's cloth on the table, revealing the seal one last time. Deed embossed, shining under fluorescence. Echo and legacy. Same scene, different light. I step outside as the hall empties, holding a copy of the minutes. In the margin, I write what Jim said, the words that sealed it all. Refunds speak louder than titles. The wind chime out front gives one soft note, then stops. Sunlight angles across the yard, catching the dew on the new sapling's leaves. The air smells like cut grass and charcoal fading after last night's barbecue. Patricia parks by the curb engine, ticking in the quiet. She steps out, brass plaque wrapped in the same cloth from the community hall. Behind her, Mark and Jim follow, carrying a folded document tube and a small tool bag. I lean on the porch rail, coffee in hand. Didn't expect a ceremony, I say. Patricia smiles. Every transfer deserves a witness. She nods toward the sapling. Mind if we start? Go ahead. She kneels near the base, pressing the cloth aside. The plaque gleams gold in the morning light. The engraved words catch Transfer Order Recorded County Heritage 2024. Mark sets the old boundary pin beside her, cleaned and polished. From the first survey, he says, "Thought it belonged here." Jim unrolls the document and reads aloud, voice calm as gravel. By county authorization, parcel records corrected, stewardship returned to property owner of record. He signs date and time in bold, 09:43 a.m. Patricia adds her signature. The ink shines wet for a moment, then settles. Neighbors gather by the fence, same faces from the hall now holding coffee cups instead of ballots. Someone sets down a pan of cornbread on the truck bed. A quiet crowd, but no longer divided. The sapling stands straight, a small green flag against the sky. Patricia looks up. We're setting the plaque here. Mark opens the tool bag, produces 2 short stakes and a mallet. The first strike is soft, almost reverent. The brass edge meets the earth. The sound blends with morning wind. Jim checks the transcript in his folder. All right. Transfer order filed. Clerk's copy stamped and sent. He glances at me. Want to say the line? I shake my head. You earned it too. Patricia clears her throat, reading from the plaque, transfer order recorded. Preservation status confirmed. Property rights restored. Silence follows a silent beat the length of breath and sunlight. Then someone claps slow at first, then more join. The applause spreads across the yard like wind through branches. Mark looks down at the sapling. Think it'll make it already has, I say. Jim folds the order back into its sleeve. You realize you closed every loop, pin deed keys all back where they started. I nod toward the porch table where they rest in a line, the boundary pin, the deed sealed in its sleeve, and the keys from the lock change each one duller, honest from use. Patricia grins. I kept your motto from the minutes. Made sure it stayed in the record. I raise an eyebrow. Which one, paper, outlives noise? Mark chuckles. It's catching on. A breeze stirs the chime again, 3 faint notes. Same pattern Mrs. Henley mentioned in her story. I glance toward her porch across the street. She waves from her chair, a small smile beneath her sun hat. The light changes then, clouds parting. The brass plaque flares with a glow that forces everyone to squint. Micro-climax light on metal, reflection on faces, a seal reborn as something clean. The applause fades into quiet conversation. Coffee cups clink. Someone lifts the barbecue grate from the night before, scraping ash into a metal pan. The smell of smoke and sugar drifts across the yard, cultural anchors, Saturday morning America. Jim pockets his pen. Well, he says records close cleaner than people. Maybe that's how they teach us, I reply. Patricia folds the cloth, now marked with soil. The county wanted to issue a final statement. You've shown what legal remedy looks like when it's human. Mark checks the time. Still early enough for pancakes. I smile, staring at the sapling. Maybe later. He claps my shoulder. Measure twice. Confront once. Always. Patricia kneels again to wipe dirt from the plaque. The letters gleam sharper than before. Above them, the sapling trembles in the breeze sunlight, passing through green like water through glass. I step closer, fingers brushing the rim of the plaque. The metal feels warm, not from the sun, but from everything it absorbed to get here. Roots outlast rules, I say quietly. Patricia looks up. That going on the record too? Why not, I say. Let them remember it right. Jim laughs, small and content. Finally, someone fought back. The wind lifts the chime again, brighter this time, the sound ringing out clear over the yard and beyond the fence. It carries down the street over the cooling barbecue grate, past the raised mailbox flag, and into the quiet suburban morning where order at last feels earned. The plaque still catches morning light, a square of brass and proof. The seal beneath my thumb is cool, the ink dry, the story closed. Around the sapling, neighbors talk about soil roots and barbecue plans. Simple things that come back once noise is gone. Law didn't erase anyone. It just redrew the lines that should have been there all along. Justice. I've learned isn't loud, it's steady. The order posted on the gate will fade someday, but the oak won't forget. Finally, someone fought back. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs.